Three, two, one. What's up, everybody? Wellness Week Live. I am DJ Anthony. I have a special guest, my friend Sammy. She's over there in New Jersey, and I'm in New Jersey. And real quick, I just want to let everyone know, as I always say in disclaimer, we're just two friends talking. We're not giving any medical advice in any shape, form, fashion, or way. Always check with your healthcare professionals. Okay, so Sammy, thank you so much for coming on Wellness Week Live. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, as I was saying off camera, you look great. And as I'm looking at you, I'm like, this chick does not age. Okay, so I'm like, I got the grays going. I'm like, yeah. All right. So you and I spoke a while back, and you had mentioned that I didn't know this, but you went through a very, very life-threatening situation, and we're going to get into what it was and how you got through it. But you were looking at the Grim Reaper in the context of MRSA and sepsis, which viewers, if you don't know what those are, you don't want those two problems. Like that's a death nail for thousands of people every year just in our country alone. And so you had that, and you beat it, and you got through it. And I want the viewers to know how you did this and your journey through it. So let's start off with this. I mean, so many people hear like MRSA, sepsis, MRSA. So what is MRSA? So what is that?
MRSA I'm not going to get into the technical term, but it's an infection.
Right.
And you can get it from germs from someone else's hand. You
Wow,
could get
really?
it from, yes, you can get it from someone's touch. You could get it from bacteria. You could get it from being in the hospital.
Right.
It's, it happens.
Funny you mentioned that. I met a girl a while back at a Christmas party I was DJing, and she told me that she got MRSA, and I'm like, how did you get that? Because I thought like MRSA was this thing like you got to get hit by a truck or something. She's like, no. She's like, Anthony, I had a little scratch on my elbow. She's like, I was just like whatever, and that the MRSA happened to be at that contact point, and it was almost game over. She's like, Anthony, I almost died. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And I don't want to freak anybody out. It's not that MRSA is like everywhere, but if it happens to be where you have a cut or something, you're in bad shape then. And no, like you just mentioned, it could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be a hospital. It could be anywhere. And that's the kind of the problem, I guess. And again, it's not that it's everywhere, but it can be anywhere. So, okay, so you had MRSA. And then what is sepsis? Because did you have MRSA and sepsis together?
What happened was I had a surgery.
Okay.
I had surgery, and I'll be honest, I had lost a lot of weight,
Right.
and I had a tummy tuck.
Okay.
And I went to a facility after my tummy tuck to recuperate.
Right.
And I believe in that facility, I got sepsis and MRSA,
Oof.
but they didn't know that I had it. So
What did they think you had?
they didn't, because I was fine. I had a 99-degree temperature. I
Slice.
came home. I had a nurse at home. And what happened was I had drains in my sides from the tummy tuck,
Right.
and the drains wouldn't drain. And you have to drain that stuff out of you
Right.
because it's poison.
Right.
And they weren't draining, called the doctor's office, and they said, oh, that's normal. I had an RN here in my home staying with me.
Wow.
And she was like, no, you're okay. It's fine. Like, okay. So when you have a tummy tuck, you have to sleep in a special chair because you can't lay on your side. You have drains in you. So you have to sleep sitting up.
Okay.
And it got to a point where I was hallucinating.
What?
I was hallucinating. And my husband, who happens to be an attorney, happened to be in court the next day. And he was in court with a malpractice attorney. And he said, my wife had a tummy tuck and she's hallucinating. And he said, get your wife to the hospital now.
And this is a lawyer telling you to do this, right? You think a medical professional would have told you to do
Because the medical professional had no idea what was going on.
Right.
My surgeon, who was amazing, he didn't know. So we went to his office, and he literally cut me open in his office.
Oh my Lord.
Because the poison was that bad.
Wow.
So then they rushed me to the hospital, and you'll know something's wrong when your blood pressure is 60 over 50 and your heart rate's 120.
Right.
If you ever experience that, you call an ambulance.
Yeah, yeah. Whoa. Okay. So that's my next question. You answered it. How did you get into the situation? Right. So it was something that infection got into you from the whatever the ports or the tubes or however. So you get to the hospital. Were they able to stabilize you right away? Like what? Like let
They
me ask you this. Let me rewind. You're told things are really bad at that moment. Like, what are you thinking? Are you like, oh, no big deal, or are you like, oh my lord, like what's going?
No, I was in another world basically because you're just they started pumping me with IVs and whatnot, and my surgeon came in and he said, I have to operate on you in the ER.
Oh wow.
So they had to prep me in the ER and he had to operate on me there in the emergency room. And he operated on me there. And then I was in ICU. And then the next day they had to operate on me again. And that was a 9-hour operation.
What?
9 hours. I was in surgery, nine
Oh
hours.
my lord! I don't even know. Like people with brain surgery don't go 9 hours. I mean,
It
that's
was, it
insane.
was, that was one of 9 operations.
So to say you were on death's doorstep is an understatement. I mean, it really probably was touch and go.
I honestly, I prayed. My husband, COVID was just about to turn the corner. I was February 19th, I think it was. I had my surgery, and then COVID hit. So,
And then
my
you're up against that. So wow. Okay.
so I was in the hospital, and 3 days in a row they had to operate on me because the infections just keep. I had like 13 bacterial infections going on at once.
Wow.
And people don't understand it's maybe 1 in a million it happens to. I should have played the lottery. I might
Yeah,
have
you would have
won.
got.
I
Yeah.
got the booby prize, but
Wow.
I had such a great surgeon and such a great staff at the hospital that if it, honestly, that's what keeps you going because
You
you're
trust the professionals.
yeah.
Well, to your point, I guess that's a reminder. I don't know if you feel this way, but when I hear your story, as great as our doctors are, nurses, and there's an element of, you know, we can only control so much, right? And then there's this bad luck element that, you know, anything can happen, I guess, to anybody, right? I mean, a meteorite can hit you in the head. I mean, like this bad luck element I guess it's a reminder of how fragile life is. As much as we are in control, we're not in control. As
Yeah.
great as doctors are, as great as whatever pilots are, like a problem can still happen in a plane. A problem can still happen that is out of the realm of what a doctor can control, as great as they are. None of us are God. And I think that's kind of humbling and scary, and hearing your story is just like, whoa, that's thank God they were as good as they were. But it's also scary because it's like, wow, that you know yeah. So they have you, they're operating on you. So like
They op- they operated on me and they couldn't close the wound because the infection kept coming back. So they ended up putting a wound vac on me. And I don't know if you know what a wound vac is.
no.
It's a machine that's attached to your body and you wear it. And what they do is where your wound is open, they have to insert sponges to draw the poison out.
Oh wow.
So they stuff you with this tape, but they have to go in your gut and there's no anesthetic for it.
Oh man.
So they do that and then they tape it on. They tape the machine, the port on you, so the machine could run and drain the poison out. And
Oof.
that's what that does.
Right.
So I had that on probably for about 4 months, and I had to see the surgeon every other day to change the wound.
Right.
And a little personal here, if you don't wax,
Right.
I will tell you that was the point when I said, I'd rather die
Right. Right. Right.
because
Yeah.
they tape you and they're ripping that tape off
Yeah.
you
Right.
and
Right.
it hurts
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
But
not that. Yeah, right. I had my back waxed once, and the pain was, yeah. So I can only imagine. Plus, you have other pains going on. It's a total body war that's happening. In you, on you, around you. So like through this process of like, are you always like fully cognizant, or are you kind of like so doped up with medicine for pain?
no. No, I was fully cognizant. I was cognizant the whole time. I mean, except when I had my surgeries and,
Right.
you know, but I was cognizant of what was going on around me. I knew everything that was going on around me. Um, the one thing that I did is when they intubate you, if you have veneers, say goodbye to them because every
The
time they
transfer those.
intubated me,
Right.
everything was gone.
Right. Right. Right.
I
So
was a hot mess.
so when you're in the hospital for this period of time, like, right, could you talk and eat, or no? You're
Yeah,
okay.
I came home a couple of times, but I went back in because the sepsis came back.
Got
Sepsis
it.
came back 2 or 3 times. I became septic while
Right.
I was home. So
Okay.
I had to go back in for more operations.
Right. And
So,
is there any medicine that can give someone with sepsis, or it's kind of like a,
yes, yes, there are, unfortunately, I was allergic to penicillin, so I couldn't take penicillin.
oh wow, oh wow,
So they were trying every antibiotic. I had a specialist come in and they started mixing cocktails for me, and it actually really started to help me, in towards the end.
right.
I mean, I became better. But yeah, you learn to appreciate life and you don't sweat the small
Yeah,
stuff.
after that, no, right? It's like every day is a great. So, what was your lowest moment like through this journey from when this started to the end? Like, at what point were you just like, this is, it's just dark? Like, what was the lowest moment? Was the beginning, the middle, the
The
end? Like,
middle, I had had an operation and it was like my fourth. And my husband came in and he was crying.
hmm,
And he said to me, he said, I have something to tell you. Now I had my operation the day before. I was in ICU.
right.
And he said, your brother just died.
Oh, Jesus, Christmas.
And I think that was like one of the lowest points when I was just like,
Yeah, and you can't do anything. You're just,
there's nothing you could do,
ugh,
you know?
yeah,
And I remember him calling me the day before my brother, but he had no idea what was going on with me. And we were very close.
yeah,
And at that point, I was just like, okay, either you buckle up and get ready for this ride, or you just let it take you.
yeah, yeah. You have two choices. You're gonna live or die. And I don't blame anybody for choosing either choice, because that moment, yeah, it's wow, that's a lot to handle, and especially in a weird way too. It must have been as hard as it was for you. It has to be also hard for your husband or your loved ones, because they can't do anything for you. They're just watching you fight this thing with no guarantees you're going to make it out. And it's like they want to fight your fight, but they can't. And so, in a weird way, it's almost harder for them than it is for you in a certain way, because again, it's like watching you in a boxing ring and they can only, pray for you, or like there's nothing they can do for you. You're in there, you're in that
Nothing.
ring.
There was nothing he could do for me. And when I came home, I developed blood clots. So he used to have to give me injections in my stomach every day, twice a day. It
Mm.
was, let me tell you, it's a lot. It's
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah, I mean, that plus you hear your brother. I mean, it's just yeah, I don't blame anybody for checking out, and and I applaud you for making the choice to live, because not everybody has the moxie or whatever it is to want to stand up, and that's why I want to have you on the show. So, okay, so that's your lowest point. Now, I would imagine, wow, you make a choice. I'm going to get through this. At what point in this dark uh, journey are you like, I'm gonna make it? It's gonna be okay. I see the light. When was that happening?
I'm going to tell you something that happened to me. I pray every night. I do novenas every
Oh
night.
wow. Okay.
I'm religious,
Yeah, I guess
but
so.
not over, I'm
Yeah, you're
not,
not Mother Teresa.
right.
None of us are.
Right, I curse and I do
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of things,
yeah.
but, I was sleeping one night, and for some reason, I swear to you, I looked up and, like, I was in a dream, and God came to me and he says, "You're gonna get through this."
Oh wow.
And the next day, I swear to you, I got up and I was like, I had my womb vac on because I used to walk around with it. And I got up that day and I made pizza and I was like, I told my husband, I said, "You're not going to get that lucky. I'm not leaving you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to be here.
Good.
So get used to it." And I have to tell you that after I had that dream, there was nothing. I was gonna fight, and I
Sure.
fought, and
Right.
I fought, and
Right.
I fought.
Right, right. Yeah, I always say to people, you know what? Um, sometimes we have to make a choice. It's not even to choose to live or die, but it's just to choose to fight. And if we lose, as long as we go down swinging, that's all that matters. You know, and you made the choice, right? If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down swinging, and that sounds like the
Exactly,
right. You know,
exactly.
and that's admirable and motivational. And you know, and you talk about novenas and being religious, and I think no matter what religion we are, there are stories, and in my case, you know, we're both Catholic Christian. Um, it's stuff out of the Bible. What you're talking about, it's like, you know, the heartache, the pain, the you know, the journey. You know, when I hear your story, I'm like, it's like almost biblical. You know, like you really and kind of also touching on that. You know, how did your faith help you out? You know, how did that play a part in your recovery?
Like I said, I prayed a
Right.
lot. I, um, I sleep with St. Jude under my pillow every night. For some reason, it ends up under my husband every night, but
Wait,
I
St. Jude's the patron saint of lost causes?
patron saint of yes,
Okay.
yes, of
You know
hopeless
it's bad when they
cases.
want to give you St. Jude. It's like, yeah, keep them away from me. Keep them away from me.
So I was like, St. Jude and I became very close, and I listen, prayer, family,
Yep.
friends. I had a girlfriend that she lives across the street from me, and as many days as she could, she sat with me in the hospital every day,
Hmm.
never left my side. And I had so many friends, so many people rooting for me, and also my doctor for probably over a year and a half, never went on a vacation, never took a trip with his family because he had to change my wound
Oh,
every other day and he wouldn't let anybody else touch me.
wow. Wow. So from when this calamity happened to the end, when you were clear and healthy, how long of a duration was that? A year, 8 months?
About a year and a half, maybe.
Wow, year and a half.
Yeah, because there were like 9 surgeries, like, because they could only close it up a little, little, a little, a little at a time for fear that, God forbid, the sepsis came back. So they had to do it just a little bit at a time. And then my last operation, I think it was, I don't, it was in October, I remember. I'm not sure because yeah, it was in October. I think it was, what did we, 2024?
Yep.
2022. Yeah, it was in October. So February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. It was about a year and a half.
Wow, a year and a half
Yeah,
of fighting for your life.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, your family too. My heart goes out to them because they're watching you, their loved one. They can do nothing for you other than, I guess, pray for you. But it's like, you know, and I've been there too with certain family members. Like, I want to fight for them, but there's nothing I can do. And I'm sure that that's that stress for your husband and your family, and on top of your own direct contact fighting for your life. So when you, so what did you learn about your life, about life from this whole experience? Like, what you know, you come out of it. What did you learn about life?
About life, what I learned was when I was working, I had an intense job that took me, was very stressful. I traveled all over for
Right.
my job. And when this happened, it actually happened during COVID. And COVID went on for a long time. And as
Yep.
long as COVID went on, that's as long as my sickness went on. So I never went back to work. And I decided that I didn't want to work anymore, that money wasn't that important to me. My
Yeah,
health was, my
yeah,
life, and my family.
yeah.
And they became the focal point. And as you well know, pickleball.
No, that's right. I forgot about that. You're a pickleball ace.
Pickleball became my sanity.
Yep. Yep.
And I started playing that, and that helped me with all my anxiety. I have to say, I just picked something that I've never, you know me, I've never been a sports person. I mean, the only sports I ever did was walk the mall.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, that was my
I do that
sporting
too.
event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just realized life is very short. And you know what, Anthony? You could have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Can't buy your health.
Listen, I tell people that all the time. I tell people every time I make an additional every time I make an additional $10,000, I'm not additionally $10,000 happier. Money, you need your basics, food, water, whatever. But yeah, and my new phrase is I like money, I don't love it. So, kind of what you're saying. And unfortunately, it takes going through some shit to fully absorb that. We know it intellectually, but until you go through what you went through and what others go through or whatever, and I went through, like, wow, everything you're saying, then you understand, then you absorb it, everything you're saying exactly, and it's scary and unfortunate that we have to go through some of these things like this, but you come out, like you said, appreciating. And by the way, I'm kind of on a separate topic, and I always preach about this, but I tell people, and I can't say this enough: exercise, getting out, connecting with people, making new friends, but getting out and moving. In your case, it's pickleball. There's a study that came out last, was it 5 months ago from the CDC, I think it was, and they said that just daily exercise. You don't have to climb a mountain, going for a walk, pickleball, whatever, swim, cycle, is 1.5 times more powerful than any anti-anxiety or depression drug you can take. That's simple exercise. And that's not my opinion. That's the CDC's finding. And so to your point, exercise is so important, just to keep us sane, and connecting with people as you do in pickleball. But everything you said is, yes, dead on, right on, and I'm glad that you got a chance to make it through and be a beacon for people to hear your story. And I will ask you this on a closing question. So what advice would you give now we're in the season now where everyone's graduating college and, going to start their lives. What advice would you give a 21-year-old young woman or man about life? Here they are, they're ready to become something and do something. And you kind of touched on this now, but what advice would you give a young graduate about
Well,
life?
for me, balance. Balance is so important in life.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to have a great job and to have great friends, but you have to have balance. Some of these kids now, it's they just want to make money and they want to make money and they want and there's no real connection with people because everybody's always on their cell phones.
Oh,
The, people don't talk.
I know.
They don't talk.
It's
I see,
insane.
I'm out. I see people, they're always, they don't talk to people. You don't talk. Everything is video games
Yep.
or cell phones. Like you have to communicate with people. Touching and feeling is so important
Yep.
in life. Hug somebody, just show somebody you care. Yes, it's great. You're graduating. You're going to be, listen, my granddaughter's graduating high school. She's going to college. I told her, you have the best time. Go for the gold.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want, but always remember basics.
Yeah.
Family, love,
Yep.
kindness.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, yeah, from your lips to God's ears, and everyone should listen and heed that very important advice. And like I said, um, unfortunately, right, it's like the old saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone, and you were lucky because you were able to not lose it, but you got a glimpse into how it could be, and you come out a better person, if you can make it out, and you made it out, yeah, yeah, and you hope that your family and younger people can learn without having to go through something so horrific like you went through.
I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I do try to pay it forward every day, and I
Right.
do. I
Yeah.
don't, no matter what, I try to help or just say something kind to someone,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No,
That's
you're
all you
right.
have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and we did a show on that too about how many people, and we're all kind of guilty of it, but everyone today walks around like, huh, huh? They can't even look up, they have headphones on, earphones on. It's like you're missing life. Life is passing you by. And
Yeah,
it's, I always also say, like, on our deathbeds, we're not going to be like, I wish I made an extra $1,000. You're not going to say that. You're going to say, I wish
no,
I spent more time with my family. I wish I spent more time with my friends. I wish I, did more good deeds or whatever. And like, that's what matters, and but no, I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad you're looking better than ever. So you got your pickleball. So you're doing that now. Pickleball uh, you, you play pickleball what, like a couple times a week, or?
7 days a
All right,
week.
good for you. Good for
I
you.
love it.
Yeah, I
Listen,
think
I'm no pro. I'm no Simone Jardim or anybody like that
no,
or
no, no.
Allie Joe
But
Smith. But
yeah,
you know what? It keeps me going.
listen, same here. I played tennis. I don't know if I told you. I coach tennis. I play tennis. I compete in tournaments and stuff. But it's funny. And I always tell people, like, whatever gets you up and out, go for it. But pickleball and tennis are like snowboarders and skiers. Like,
Right.
tennis players cannot stand pickleball players.
Pickleball players.
Yeah, they drive me nuts.
It's true.
But it's a great sport, and pickleball is I didn't know. I thought it was a new sport. It's been around since the mid 70s, actually.
Yes, it
But
has.
with COVID, it had a resurgence. I
Well,
don't know.
that's what when it resurged during it had a resurface during COVID. And my sister, when I got better, I went to California and she said, "You need to play pickleball." I said, "I can't even. I am so uncoordinated. There's no way
Yeah,
I'm going to do this." And I took a couple lessons, and I actually another thing is like I didn't know anybody that played, and I went someplace and I took some lessons and I met some people,
yeah,
and I've just met so many. Listen, there's always one in the bunch,
yeah. Right, exactly.
always. But I met so many nice people, such lovely people, and
Yeah,
it's great. So, don't let life pass you by. The phone, your phone's always going to be there.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
just be nice, be
yeah.
kind.
Yeah. No, and I think, like you, not to get into my life, but I also went through something, very, very dark around the COVID time. Anyways, my point is, coming out of that, I feel like I'm a better version of myself. I feel like I'm more empathetic, more sympathetic. Like you're saying, like, I used to sweat the small stuff. Now I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Let it go. Whatever it's like, what am I, like, yeah, it always makes me laugh when I hear, like, people aren't talking to each other and ask them why. Well, she said this or he said that. That's why we're not friends anymore. Like, like, and unfortunately, you know, like I said, when you go through something dark, like you went through, and even for myself, we can appreciate, like, yeah, who cares? Like, I'll still be their friend. Like, they talk some crap or they said something, whoop de doo. But it breaks my heart when people throw away friendships or get petty. It's like, uh, yeah. Remember when we had did you feel the earthquake 3 weeks ago?
I no, I remember when we had it, but I didn't feel it, but I know people, friends of mine call me, they felt it.
Yeah.
Yes.
The reason why I bring that up is because I felt the earthquake, and thank God nothing got broken. No one got hurt, but it scared the shit out of everybody. And I said to myself,
Yes.
you know what? We need an earthquake every so often, once a month,
To shake people up.
literally and figuratively, to make people understand, like, this is all temporary. Like, everyone chill, and everyone, like, look at what's important, because that earthquake really was a metaphoric earthquake and a literal earthquake. And thank God no one got hurt, but we can use a quote unquote safe earthquake every once a month, I think, to really make people think, like, wow, what's important.
Yeah.
So you made it through a very serious earthquake, and I'm glad you did, because like I said, you're definitely a beacon for so many people to uh, hear your message, and they're going to watch this interview, and I know it will help so many people that are going through something similar, or are lonely and hurting, and they hear your story, and again, it's so motivational, and I thank you for sharing it.
Listen, just be happy in life.
Yeah.
It's very short. It's not
Choice.
a, they say it's not a dress rehearsal, and
Yep.
it's true. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. And
Enjoy
I
your
think,
life.
yeah, happiness is a choice. You chose life, and you chose and so anyways, but thank you, Sami, so much.
Bye, Anthony. It
Again,
was so nice to see you.
come on. And well, I'm going to see you soon because I'm DJing this
Yes.
thing. So,
Yeah.
and thank you for thinking of us. And anyway, so thanks everybody. Check back in, like and subscribe. Sami, once again, thank you again for making time. And
Thank you.
Machi to say in Italian. I'm going to sign us off in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye, everybody.
Bye.